I'm going to go ahead and get started. First, I want to thank everyone for taking the time to join this workshop and attend this workshop. I want to thank everybody that was involved in organizing the workshop and spreading the word about the workshop on REDCap. First, an introduction for me. My name is Daryl Dwencian, and I have the privilege to serve as the core director for the Research Capacity Core, which is part of the IHER Center at Delaware State University. IHER being Interdisciplinary Health Equity Research Center. And we are here to support faculty in their research needs. So this is funded through the IHER. We can help you with health equity research, but we also have the capabilities and are willing to support all researchers for any research that they happen to want to do, are currently doing. So any level of research needs, the Research Capacity Core is just one of many areas at Delaware State that can help you, but we can assist you with your research needs. If you're an experienced researcher and want to check on some of your research just to validate it a little bit, we can help with that. If you're a faculty member and it's been a few years or it's been a while since you've done research and you have those topics, you have those ideas, you just need a little help in getting started, get back into research, we can help you with that. We can help you with your qualitative needs. We can help you with software support, which is what we're really here learning how to do. We're learning about REDCap, which is a software that's currently used by over 7,000 institutions. As part of the grant, Delaware State was able to acquire a license for REDCap. So if your research, you have needs to conduct a survey, if you have needs, you will have needs to store your data somewhere so that it can be accessed by many software platforms to actually do your analysis. REDCap can help you with your research needs in both your developing surveys or conducting surveys and also managing your data so that you can access it with any software that you might happen to need or use. So we are here to support you. It's really a privilege and an honor to introduce our two speakers. Sharon Goodman, who's quite experienced with REDCap. She's going to lead you through an introduction to REDCap. We also have Jason Coles, who works in IT. When you have issues with the technology connecting, getting REDCap, it just doesn't seem to be working properly on a particular day, Jason Coles and Sharon can help you navigate through that so we can get the software back on track so you can get your research back on track. So with that, I'm going to turn it into to Sharon, who will lead you through this introduction to REDCap.
Thank you very much, Daryl. And thank you for the introduction. Thank you everyone for being here today. I'm Sharon Goodman from Department of Sociology and Criminal Justice at Delaware State University. I'm also part of the IHER Center Research Capacity Core. So today we'll talk about REDCap. So it's an introduction to REDCap. And so Daryl already kind of gave a brief review of what REDCap is. So today we'll go through what is REDCap, how to create your very first project, and how to manage your database. And Jason will cover if you're interested in using REDCap, how to get your REDCap account ready. And if you have any problems, you can reach out for technical support. So REDCap is short for Research Electronic Data Capture. It was developed at Vanderbilt University, and it is a HIPAA-compliant kind of data collection and storage application. It's a very secured web application. And today we have about 6,000 institutions join this REDCap consortium, partners, and we have over 2 million users in the world using REDCap. And with the funding from NIH, the iHeart Center at DSU joined the research, the REDCap consortium partners. That means that the DSU faculty and staff, we have free access to REDCap. And the main two kind of purpose using REDCap is if you need to collect your data or if you need some place to store your data for a very kind of a secured place. And REDCap is very powerful. So the two main purposes is collect the data and store data. And REDCap can also kind of capture data from surveys, allows for quick development of database, allows for web-based data entry, and the researchers, they are in charge of the database development and management. And there are like different functions that make REDCap very powerful and also stand out from if you can conduct a longitudinal study and you can kind of schedule this follow-up surveys on REDCap. And if you do different trials, clinical trials, and the REDCap can do the randomization for you among your participants. And it also has the multi-language function that I found it very useful. So the DSU version of REDCap does have the multi-language function. Some REDCap version, they might not because it's a newer one. One of my recent studies, I used this multi-language function, and it's beautiful. So in the past, I have to have different links, and each link kind of goes to different surveys, the English version survey, or a Chinese version of the survey, or Spanish version of the survey. And I have to download the data set differently and then combine them in my software and then analyze them. So it's a more kind of consuming. And this multi-language function on REDCap allows me to just with one survey link, one survey, one database, but the participant can choose, okay, I speak English, then the survey is English. And if they choose Spanish, then the survey immediately translated into Spanish. And the variable names all the same, very consistent. So I found that very powerful. And we're not going to cover kind of longitudinal design, multi-language function, or randomization today. It's more kind of the introduction, the first step when we use REDCap. And if you're interested, so shoot us an email and we can kind of have a workshop on these topics. And REDCap can also generate reports and among others. So I don't want to limit REDCap functions into this, and there are a lot that we can do with REDCap. So if you're kind of a biologist, you're a lab scientist, if you say that I'm not going to use REDCap because I don't do surveys, I don't do human research, but REDCap can be also very powerful just to store data. Store data very securely. And if you have a database, so REDCap is very good with kind of, you just entry data, your lab manager or the PI, the student worker, they can just kind of put the data onto REDCap and analyze the data. It's very secured there. So to summary, REDCap is user-friendly. It is very secured. It's organized, powerful, time-efficient to collect the data, and is compliant with the different data analysis software. So if you use SAS, if you use R or Stata, REDCap can accommodate you, and that you can download your data set into those software format. And you can also download the data set with just Excel kind of the data set, Excel data sheet, and with like the raw data. So there's an easy to use interface. It is web browser based. That means that you do need internet to collect the data or store the data. However, recently REDCap had this like the app on your phone that you can download. And you don't need internet connection and then to get some data stored there. So later it will sync with the internet when you have internet connection. Me personally have not used that function. So I can see that's being very helpful if under some scenarios or circumstances, there's no internet and you need to kind of input some data. So it can be very helpful. And as I said, that REDCap is HIPAA compliant. So there's different data security options. There's individual login. So each researcher has your own credentials to log in. And you have your own password, you have your own username. However, REDCap makes it very easy to collaborate. And different researchers, they can collaborate on one project. So you all have one access to the same project. You don't need to share a passcode or username. And there's a user access controls. So if you have a student working with you, you don't want to grant the students all the functions that REDCap have. For example, you don't want the student to accidentally delete one data point. So you don't need to give that, that access to that student. And there's the de-identification options for data export. So that's compliant with HIPAA. And it allows for collaborations and multi-site study. So it's very powerful software, and it's very useful for different purposes. But you don't need to have programming, networking, or database experience and to use REDCap. REDCap make it very easy. Basically, everyone can use REDCap. And hopefully after today's workshop, and you can create your very first or your project, your own project. So REDCap has different kind of status or phases. So when you create a project, one is the development phase, and then the production phase, analysis, cleanup phase, and then complete. So today we'll cover the development and the production phase. So to go to your REDCap account, and you go to redcap.desu.edu, and then you will see this page. So this is the login page, and then your username, just the same as the username that you log into Blackboard or your email account, your Outlook, your DSU email account, and then the password is also the same. However, if you're a first-time user, right, and you might find that it's not working because you need to get granted access to REDCap. So you need to request a login access to REDCap, and Mr. Jason Coles will grant you that access. That he will cover that later. So let me go to my REDCap. So that way we can kind of have this firsthand experience there. Okay, so here. Let me share my screen. Can you see it? So this is our REDCap page. This is the iHeart Center label here, and I'm using this testing account here. So you hit login. So this is what it looks like. So when you go to REDCap, and especially if the first time you go to REDCap, and you might not have any kind of projects here. So those are the projects that you create, and then they show here, and you can organize the projects into different folders by kind of see organize, and then you can create a new folder. I already created 5. Let's do test 6. And you can add this folder, and then you can change the background to make it more stand out, to like easy to identify different projects. If you want to do green here, and then the background, if you want to do this color. So save, then you have your test 6, this folder here, and then you can select this folder and then find a different project and then put into different folder. Let's say we can do this one, and you close it. So we see that test 6 has one project here, and then this is an existing project. So to create a new project, you come to the top bar here, and then you see here is my projects, all the projects are listed here. And then the next one is plus new projects. So create a new project. And then there are different kind of things here. Here's like Q&A. There are different training videos. This is if you want to send your admin a message regarding your project, you can send it on this page. You don't need to go back to your email and then find the admin's address and then send them. This is a messenger and a more immediate, and then you can kind of communicate with your collaborators or all like other users using REDCap at DSU. So here we create our project. So create a new project. It asks you some questions here. Your project title, let's say presentation, workshop, okay? Or we can do something else, yeah, workshop. So this project's purpose. So if you do research, right? Research, and then it asks you more questions. So who's the PI? And the IRB number, and then please specify what type of research that is. And if you do others, let's say just practice just for fun here, and ask you if you want to assign it to a folder. If I click on yes, and then I will assign it to test 6 here. And then you can have a note here, just later you might have a lot of projects, so you might want to remind yourself of what this project is for. It also can happen that sometimes when I do a project, I first create a draft. So it's not the project I want to use, but I just want to test it, especially if there's some new function, I want to try it out. So I can just write down like, this is a draft. And it's not the one that we're gonna use later. So I know that. So the project creation option, so you can create an empty project. That's what we're gonna do today. However, you can use a template that's already existed in the REDCap library. So REDCap library has a lot of questionnaires that you can just use, especially if you do some kind of psychological research, let's say, and there's different kind of questionnaires. For example, the PHQ, GAD is already there and it's all standardized. So you don't need to change any words. So you can kind of, if you use a template, you can kind of choose which one you gonna do, can save you a lot of time. But here we're gonna just do an empty project. So I hit create project. So this is like your workbench here, like where you work on your project. Here is kind of a main project settings, whether you're gonna use a survey to collect your data. So some people, they might not, they might just want to store the data. So you don't need to enable that, whether you're gonna use longitudinal design for this project. So one thing to note that if you do use the longitudinal data collection, so when you download the data might be different from what you expected. It's more kind of like a long form, but not wide form. So you might want to consider that if you do want to use the longitudinal data collection. So I would use Online Designer first. So I click on Online Designer, and REDCap calls this a form, right? And I click on Form 1. So automatically, REDCap already has Form 1, but it's empty. So I click on that. It does have one record ID. So the record ID will not show on your survey. If you do conduct a survey, record ID is more like, let's say, if you use Excel, then there is the column or the rows already there, the A, B, C, D, or 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's not, your participant will not see it. And if you do use longitudinal, the record ID is used to kind of link everybody. So first, let me add a field. So a field is like a question, like a survey question if you do a survey. And REDCap allows for different types of fields. And there's text box, note box, calculated field, and multiple choice. And multiple choice with multiple answers, yes and no, true and false, and signature. And you can have your participant upload their file. And this is a slider. So we're gonna try mostly all of them, okay, like here. So first I will do a text box, and I will ask, what is your age? More like a common demographic question. And you do need to create your variable name. It is required. So I just do age. And the variable name only allows for letters, numbers, and underscores. So you cannot do explanation, and it doesn't differentiate the upper letter or lower letter. And I suggest you to do some validation. For example, age is a number, right? And the maximum, if you're doing with adult, like the minimum's 18, maximum you can do 90. So one of the common things with the survey is sometimes you ask, what is your age? And the participant read it as, what is your year of birth? And then give you a year. So this allows to validate the answer. So if the participants say, I was born in 1970, so 1970 is not within this range, so REDCap will give you a warning that this answer is not allowed. And you can make the question required to answer among your participant, then that's yes. So if your participant does not answer this one question, so they cannot submit this survey, or you cannot save this data set. And we make it no, and then you can make you can identify whether this is an identifier or not. For example, name, address, or social security number, or even very specific date of birth. That's identifier based on HIPAA. So when you download the data set, and sometimes you can kind of choose, I'm not going to download the identifier. And then you can have a field note here. So the field note will be displayed with the question, so the participant will see the field note. For example, just your age, not the year of birth. So you save it. So this is our first question. See, the note is here, so your participant can see it. And then we can have another question. And also let's do text box, like, what is your date of birth? So this is the date of birth for the variable name. Validation, we can do a date, month, date, year. And we can say yes here, and then see, your participant can have a calendar here, so it's very easy to kind of choose, oh, is this date. And then I'm gonna add another field, so it's more like a multiple choice question. What is your sex? So I will do 0, male, 1, female, 2, other, or 99, other. So when you do the choices here, so one choice per line, and you also need to have the numbers here. So the numbers, when you download the data set, when you analyze the data, so the number is the value to your categories of this variable. So just to keep that in mind. And you don't need to start with 0. You can start with 1, 2, 3. So whatever numbers you are choosing. And also, you don't need to even have the number if you kind of thinking this is tedious, I'm not gonna do it. So REDCap can kind of automatically give you this number, and you just need to like hit okay, yes. And this is sex. So it looks like this, the question. And next, let me try this. So this is radio buttons. And let's try this drop down list. So it's also, you can only pick one answer, but the drop down list, if you have a long list of answers, and that way it's kind of save some space on the page when participants kind of choose which one it is. So what state do you live? Let's say we have Delaware, we have Pennsylvania, we have Maryland, and we can have New Jersey, New York. So we have 5 states here. So put down state. Let me save it. So this is what it looks like. So it saves a lot of space, and especially you have a long list so the participant can choose one from this. And then let's do another one. We could do a multiple choice, like a multiple, they can pick multiple answers. So check boxes. So you can say, what are your favorite colors? And I have red, pink, blue, purple, white, and we can have gray. So we have colors and the field note, you can say you can choose multiple answers. So this is what it looks like. So this is a checkbox and your participant can choose multiple answers here. And our next question, we can do, let's say, an open-ended question. That's a note box. And why do you like red? So this is open-ended. And so this is a bigger box here. So your participant can write more here. And you can even set a word limit here. And to do that, here is like action tag. You just set word limit. It's equal to, if say 100 words or 150 words here. And next question, we can do like a sliding scale, right? Like here. So how much do you like red? So 1 indicates the lowest level, and 10 indicates the highest level. So this is, let's say, red. So here you put the labels here. So the bottom will be kind of like a smaller number, and then the top will be like a higher number. And then the minimum is 1, and then the maximum is 10 based on the question I put it here. And the middle label, I can do 5, and then the left, I can do 1, the right, I can do 10. Okay, always good. I'd say yes. So this is what it looks like. It looks so pretty fun that they can just like sliding this, your participant, and you can treat it as a continuous variable when you download the data. And the next question, what we can do is, let's say, we can create a question. It's a yes and no, it's already here. So basically the answer is already here. I'll just say, do you like red? So the variable names, you cannot have the same names in the same project because I already have red as one variable name. So here I just do red2, just something to keep in mind. So I save it. And you also want to know like why some people don't like red, right? And then you want to know the labels. For no is 0, for 1, for yes is 1. So the 0 one, so I want to create another question. So it is a note box. Why don't you like red? Please describe. So this is, let's say, reason, no red. And you don't want the people who like red to also see this question or complete the question. Some kind of data collection software, when you conduct the survey, and then you sometimes might see that, oh, please put on not applicable if it's not for you, this question. But REDCap is powerful because REDCap has this function called this branching logic. So I can say, only the ones, say, there are 2 ways to do it. I need to see, okay, red2 is the variable name. We need to know the name of the variable. We also need to know what's the label for no, because we only want to, the people who don't like red to answer and see this question. So parenthesis red2 is equal to 0. So this is one way to do it. The other way to do it, if I don't remember the variable name, this is, I don't want to put it in manually, so I can just drag and drop. Let's see, red2, no. Okay, so those people, you put it here. Oh, it's already there. So you put it here. So all below are true, and then you put save. Then it will only, this question will only show up if your participants click on no, I don't like red. Like no, and then this one is a follow-up question. And then the next question, we can do a matrix of the fields. So this is also something I really like about REDCap. So please, let's say this is the matrix header. I'll have a bunch of colors and then have my participants to rate them, like how much they like it. So please rate the following colors. So first I'll do red and variable name, red. And next, see REDCap suggests me it existed, so I'll do red 3. Next, I'll do blue, so blue. And I'll do purple, and then I'll do pink. And then I'll do green. So here's the answer box, all the choices. So all these rows, all these kind of items, they share the same answers. They share the same choices. So I'll do one is strongly agree, they're good, and agree, 3 neutral, and 4 disagree, 5 strongly disagree. We can rephrase it and okay. Matrix group name, you can say color rating. So you save that. So this is what it looks like. It looks very neat. So your participant can just say, oh, please rate the following colors. And then this one, I strongly agree, they're good. And then, yeah, so it looks very good and organized here. And I can have another one is kind of like a signature. So you consent to, or your answers are all true. Let's say this, please sign here. So signature. And it's especially useful if you do consent, right? Consent to a study, so you don't need to have the hard copy, or sometimes your participant's computer might not have that function to draw like or to sign their signature. So this way you can collect their signature very easily. You save it. And then your participant can click here, add signature, just use their mouse pad. They can just add a signature here. Okay, so this looks pretty good for me now. I feel like I can send it out. Let's say I click back on Online Designer here and my form, and I noticed that I have a 16 field, and then you can even download the PDF to view and then to test out with people. So this is a PDF version. And I can choose action. See, let's say I already have all the data. So on paper, if they're on paper, I already collected all those data. I don't need to send it out as a survey. So you can start add and edit record. So it's here on your left side. If by yourself or your collaborator or your student, so they can use the hard copy and then they can start adding different record here. So they can input a record and they can save and then go to the next form. And here I'll just click on cancel. So we're not doing this way. So this is one way to create this database and maintain this database. The other way is, let's go to project setup. I will enable survey here. So here on the top, because I don't have participants already, so I'm gonna enable, I don't have data, I'm gonna enable survey in my project. And then you go to the Online Designer here. So enable as survey, they will ask you. So you do yes. So this is a survey now. And then there's options here. You can customize it. And the survey is active. And the survey title. So you can say color. And this, you can customize this like, oh, thank you so much for being part of the study. And please complete the survey below. And then you can even customize it with different font and different style of the words. And if you have a logo, if your study is funded by some agencies, so you can choose a logo or you can have a DSU logo here. And the other thing I found is very useful is here. So here is text to speech. So if you are conducting surveys with the population and they like to hear or they cannot read, so you can enable speech here. And okay, it's here. So save and return later. I found this very useful, especially if you have a long survey. So the survey is long, or your participant need to go back to collect some information. So you might want to enable this. And it's automatically, these two are not picked because it's based on the HIPAA requirement. So this one, if you click on this one, so your participant will receive a link in their email for the saved survey, and they don't need a code to go back to the survey. They can just click on a link so it's based on your project. If there's no sensitive information, so you might want to click on this because sometimes the participant, they will forget or they didn't record the code, they lose the code. So this is useful, but if you click, you ask a lot of kind of sensitive questions, for example, their income or their health status, or even their address, you might not want to click on this because those are sensitive information. You only want the participant with the code to have access to that saved survey. So this is very useful. But if you, let's say you do have a short survey, and just like the survey we just created, and you think the participant can complete it within a very short period of time, so you don't need this function. And this is for if you have different forms, and we create a form 1, and then if you have another form 2, to connect with form 1, you can click on this, so the survey automatically go to the next one. And then here a completion test, just kind of saying thank you, or if you have, let's say you are giving participants some compensation, and there is a place you can say, oh, reach out for this compensation here. And you save the changes. So here you have a survey, and this is the survey distribution tool. So on the left side here, and you click on this. So this is the survey link, and you can also customize the survey link. Let's say create a survey link here. This is redcap.link, and then I'll say DSU colors. So this is colors project, or so whatever you want. So you submit it. So this is more kind of a customized link, so easy to kind of remember or promote your study. So here, and you can also use the QR code. And if you click on the QR code, you can kind of download a picture if you have study flyer, and it's easy for your participant to just use a phone to kind of scan this QR code and then to get the survey. Okay. So I will go back to the slides. Okay, so we talk about how to create a project, different types of questions, how you do different type of questions here. And here are some good practice. So when you create variable names, and short names are preferred because when you download the data set, when you analyze it, and some software, you have to kind of type the variable names for like cleaning the data set or analyzing the data. So shorter variable names, some easier for your study later. And the lowercase letters, numbers, and only underscores allowed there. And validate the fields when possible, just like the example that your age. And some participant, they might just put down the year of like they born, right? So later you have to clean the data set, you have to calculate by yourself, and utilize the field notes, and then to give your participants some kind of a reminder. And you move to your project to production after you create the project and test it very thoroughly. So I suggest you to have other people to test the project for you. And we always find some problems until we send it out. That's my thing. Like I always find, oh, I can phrase my question this way, or I can add some more questions. So have a lot of people test the questions out and test the questionnaire out before you send it out. And okay, so so here are some resources, and it's on our website, and I can put the resources on the chat, and I'm going to give Jason the stage to talk about technical support and account request. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, well, the three main things, well, welcome everybody. Apologies for the tardiness. I had another obligation prior to getting on the call. But nevertheless, we're excited that you all have gotten a chance to see kind of how REDCap works and the power of it. Now, in order to get access to it, it's a simple process. You can email either myself or Sharon and just simply request access going through the form that they've set up on the website. And once we receive that, I'll go in and make your username, which is going to be your actual Windows credentials. So however you log in on a computer every day, it'll be those same credentials that you use to log into REDCap. And so once you're actually on the system, from there, if you ever need any type of technical support, there's a button in the upper left that says Contact REDCap Administrator, and those emails go directly to myself. Now, typically, we haven't had, knock on wood, we haven't had any issues, technical issues in terms of databases going down or being corrupted or anything of that nature. But, things happen. This is technology. So just make us aware of it. We'll create a ticket and get your problem resolved as soon as possible. But those are really the main two things that I wanted to emphasize were how to actually get access to REDCap. Yeah, there we go. And then also, right, I'm glad you brought that up. So adding languages, so REDCap, as Sharon showed you, you have the ability to create surveys and also to take those surveys and put them in different languages. So if, your project requires that, you can request a language if it's not available by default. And as I mentioned, if there are any errors that you see as you're working on your project, any application errors, feel free to contact us. Don't be afraid. We can walk you through how to resolve your issues. With that said, I'll be available for any questions that anyone may have. That was about all I had for you. Okay, yeah, and there, if you look at the screen in the upper left, there's an arrow that says Contact REDCap Administrator. So once you're in the actual REDCap portal, it'll be available there. And there's also a messaging feature within the REDCap that allows you to ask specific questions, and it'll link back to the project that you're working on. That way, Sharon and I know exactly, which project and where to look, so to speak, to help you resolve your issues. And so this is a pop-up of what the messaging looks like. As I mentioned, it'll show the username. You can put in the conversation title, the initial message that you're having the issue with, and then if you look where it says link conversation to project, that'll be a drop down, and you can select the different or whichever project that you're having an issue with. And also, if there's a colleague that you may be working on the project with, you can also loop that person in on the bottom left where it says search for users. You can type in another user of REDCap on there, and they'll be included in this message thread for that specific project. So we have a pretty comprehensive support system for messaging. Now, here's an example of an error that you may see because REDCap is cloud-based. It's run on our servers here at Delaware State University. There may be outages. The campus may do updates. There, could be a bug somewhere. So we need to know this as soon as possible. That way, that you have access to REDCap 24/7. And as I mentioned a little earlier, when you select that Contact REDCap Administrator, it will pre-populate a message in your Windows Outlook, and you'll be able to potentially send a message and let me know what issues that you're having with REDCap. And here are the here's the contact information for each of us, Sharon, myself, Daryl, and John, as well as some resources for the research capacity.
Thank you very much, Jason. So I am sharing what is this REDCap account request form looks like. So it asks you for some basic information. So we suggest that even if you're not currently using REDCap or planning to using REDCap in the very near future, but you might want to get this account ready so it comes in handy. So you don't need to wait for that process when you really have a project you want to run and going and you already have access to it. And then also you might want to kind of try it out, play around before you start using it for your project. So this is the kind of account request survey. Once you fill out the survey, and Jason will grant the access to you. And I will turn it to Daryl.
Thank you, Sharon. Thank you, Jason. Thank you to everybody that joined in. Sharon, can you go back to the slide that has the contact information? So I just want to encourage everybody, what's next? You're a researcher, you've never used REDCap, you saw a lot of information here. You just want to know, I wonder if REDCap can be used in my research. Don't be afraid to reach out to us. We'll set up a consultation and we can talk you through. This is what REDCap can do. We now know what you want to do in terms of your research. Here's how we can make a connection. You may have used REDCap or a beginner in terms of REDCap, but are just, well, I'm not quite sure I'm setting up the questions correctly. We are here to help you with that as well. So any level of researcher, any level of REDCap user, don't be afraid to reach out to us. We're here to help you. We can help you with REDCap. We can also help you if you have a research idea and want to explore it more. Please don't be afraid to reach out to us. We're here to offer you support. And I can tell you that the researchers listed here, John, Sharon, Jason, they're very good. They love hearing new ideas and to provide input. And I'm very privileged and honored to try and help facilitate them to get you, the researchers out there, to help and support at any level that you might happen to need. So thank you very much for attending. If you've got a question now, you can type it in. If you come up with a question later, that's something that I usually do. Just send us an email. Love to hear from you and what your research needs are. Once again, thank you to Sharon and Jason for the presentation.